Hello and welcome to WorksMet's podcast. Today we have Zara, who is Senior Director Human Resource in Parker Digital. Brings on board a couple of decades of experience. So we are very delighted to have you here, Zara. So welcome to
Thank
our
you.
podcast. We have looked at your journey, right, over the last couple of decades. You have been into and you've spent great time in some leading enterprise organizations, moving from enterprise to product, and even earlier, right, you had various other experiences that you brought. Today, we would like to discuss more on the if you look at, and I'm sure you are experiencing it in terms of the changing landscape, right? How dynamic the market has become, or even people have become, right, after post COVID. So let's begin on that note. First, let's try and understand how it has impacted the organizations and the leadership, specifically when I could never imagine like a hybrid model pre-COVID, right? It is like you need to be blessed to get such company, right?
Absolutely right.
So how's your vision, right? I mean, because you have seen both aspects, right? One which is pre-COVID, one which is post-COVID, and how dynamically it is changing. A lot of new things are coming into the market, the way we are working, the way we are operating, the expectation that people have, in the organizations, the expectation that management has is kind of getting dynamically changed and quite fast, right? So what is your view on that?
Well, you said it, Maddie. Things have changed so drastically. And pre-COVID, there were so many things. We wouldn't have dared even dream of work from home or remote. Those were certain roles which are sent from above. But now it's not like that. Every single organization has roles which are completely remote. Some organizations itself are 100% remote. Things have changed. The market has changed, individuals have changed, considering that now the inflow of employees that come in, the youngsters especially, all of those freshers have completed their education in that time of COVID. They have done their studies from home. They do not know anything apart from that. They have never seen what work
Yeah,
culture is while having to slog it out in the office from dawn to dusk,
right.
right? So in that ways, things have changed, but things have also changed in a very positive way there too. So automation is one thing. Automation was always there, but I think during COVID, it became even bigger than it was. Companies that didn't even adopt certain tools were suddenly adopting them because, hey, you are remote.
Yeah,
And even if you're remote, we need to maintain that team cohesion and that sense of company culture. So hence, digital tools were adopted to ensure that everyone is kept connected.
yeah.
So many ways that has changed, and it's been amazing.
So how do you see, right? I mean, again, going back and we very often discuss about it, right? So, and I'm sure, right? If you look at the various emails that are like getting floated, in fact, they are on social media as well from the leadership, like from Amazon to IBM to you know TCS or Tata to various leading enterprise organizations are very now since last couple of years, I personally observe they are inviting people to come to office, operate from office. But
Yes.
it's like earlier they wanted people to start operating from office. Now even there is a change. They are quite flexible. They say, okay, start coming to office, at least start investing 8 days. But the bigger aspect here is point number one. And I'm sure in the current company you are also must be having the similar policy. But one is that the impact that you see in the business. So that is a growing concern. Maybe you'll see at the leadership role, right? Secondly, it is also impacting. Is it impacting productivity? Has it improved productivity? What is the mindset? So that is bothering leadership a lot. Leadership team a
Yes.
lot. So how
There
do
is
you
a
guys
huge
tackle?
impact.
So how do you guys tackle in your current organization? So what is your views so far in the last 3, 4 years? How it has changed?
See, Mary, when COVID started, it was hard for everyone to adjust to it. But then
Mm,
we really quickly adapted to it. Of course, we didn't have a choice.
right.
What we realized was that work was happening. All
Yeah.
deliverables were happening 100%, no compromising on the quality. But what was being compromised were relationships.
Mm,
right?
Right.
Something as simple, the impact that going for a chai break with your manager or with your colleagues, that was not happening.
Yeah.
Connects were just completely limited to those the work related calls that you would make on MS Teams.
Hmm.
That was it. And once COVID slowly started to get a little lesser, the fear began to recede. That's when we really truly saw the impact that that had created. Work wise productivity, I believe, for all organizations, at least most of them, were on an all time high. But if you ask anyone about organizational culture, about the sense of belonging that we want our employees to have, that was missing big time.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is why a lot of us at the organization level needed our people to mingle again. We needed everyone to come together again. And we also understand that we have already adjusted to a different situation, right? Where you have that flexibility. And
Right.
once you give it, to take it back in totality is just not going to happen.
Hmm.
You have to respect every individual's needs on a personal level. They need to balance now, right?
Yes.
And that is where things like hybrid really help. Coming to the office at least, 3 times in a week, or even if some larger organizations ask their people to come in 8 times in a month.
Yeah.
Even those slight connects with your team, with your managers, go such a long way. And now I believe things are healing. And I use this term very, very consciously, healing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
because companies need to get out of that only productivity mode and provide that psychological safety to their people. And
Right.
that's where meeting really helps.
So how do you apply that in your organization? If I can be more specific here. So how do you see handling it? And again, going back to the same point, right, which is more about, leadership concerns, right? I mean, it is like an adjustment somewhere. I believe that, right? I mean, I've spoken to
It
other
is an
leaders.
adjustment, no doubt, no doubt. But it's really working for us. Things like asking people to come in a hybrid mode. And when teams do come in, they decide that, today all of us are going to meet and this is what we are going to do. We schedule those kind of meetings for everyone. Initially, when we started to get people back to the office 2 years back in 2022, it was really hard. We had barely a handful of individuals coming back to the office. And now
Yeah.
I'm very happy to say that all of our teams, they do come to the office at least 3 times in a week. We
Fantastic.
ensure to schedule our engagement activities also. Then managers ensure to have their connects with the individuals, whether they are one-on-ones, whether it's those group connects. These things are planned in advance. At the same time, we have ensured that there's minimal discomfort to everyone. There is due consideration given. If there are individuals who say have calls in the evening time, the second half of the day, they are welcome to leave at 3, 4 p.m. They're welcome to go home, take their calls from home, absolutely fine.
Right.
As long as that connect is established with their
Established.
team. That's
Got
most
it.
important. Everything else can be taken care of.
And has it improved, like, the kind of a impact towards growth, deliverables? Because your
Yes.
deliverables are directly linked to the market. You really want to impact your customers and whatnot. So how do you see, right? Has it improved?
Tremendously, tremendously. Because while, like I said before, productivity was an all time high, but then things like teams working together, if someone is rolling off a shift, there would hardly be that connect with the previous person.
Yeah.
But now that connect is there and it adds value. And this is something that even clients see, they feel it.
Hmm.
And that in the end, over a period of time, reflects in numbers as well.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And in fact, just the way the market is trending, right? And somewhere, right, to address these problems, you would see that nowadays, AI is playing a very influential role. Maybe giving little comfort to people at top level and people at the bottom level in terms of, like, making their life easy. There are two aspects that we see, and which is, like, again, which is very good, which has made life easy. Definitely, we have seen the impact in the last at least one year. So how do you see, this AI which has come? and impacting two aspects. One is that skill building or talent management, we can say. Second here is that if that is the case, how it is improving the performance as well. So how do you see it right now in the company? And I'm sure when you on a day-to-day basis, you see, right, there are various tools that have come. People are using it effectively. Have you seen the improvement in the quality? Have you seen, okay, people can effectively use their AI to upgrade their skills, and that has seen the performance. Have you seen, are you realizing this trend?
Absolutely. See, what happens here is that now, since there are a couple of our processes which are automated, it's like AI is like having this supercharged assistant that never sleeps. So even when we have our recruiters who used to struggle with going through all their resumes before, now
Mm.
all of those things are sorted. So if you need to sift through 1,000 CVs, AI has it covered.
Yeah.
If we have in talent management, if we or even our leaders are having
Mhm.
a challenge to formulate OKRs, hey, no worries, AI also has your back there.
Mm.
So it's like having a crystal ball, but instead of vague predictions, we are getting these actionable insights now, and that really helps us develop them in real time.
Yeah.
All A lot of our routine tasks are now automated, right? I'm sure this is the case in pretty much all organizations now. And this has allowed most of us, whether it's recruitment, whether it's the talent management team, or even the general workforce, it helps us to focus on more strategic activities. I
Correct.
can attest to the fact that now my team has that bandwidth to really facilitate all of these candidate engagements
Mm.
or even conduct these cultural fit assessments, which was
Mm.
previously a challenge.
Right.
Just about, I think, 2 weeks back, Maddie, we were discussing revamping PMS internally. We just had to revamp our goal library considering the business, the route changes that we have taken. And we realized that AI plays a huge role there too,
Right.
getting that real time feedback and even with predictive analysis. And
Right.
this enables a lot, giving that personalized development plans even to the individuals. And that's
Absolutely.
what people want nowadays. Gone are the days when people work in organizations just for job security.
Mm.
I'll join an organization and stay there for 40 years and I'm sorted. No, now they want to know for sure that the organization is invested in their career development. They
Got it.
want to know what their career progression looks like.
Yeah.
And having AI tools that help in this just helps in that stickiness factor. It helps us retain people as well. So overall, if we when we leverage it, are really able to enhance our efficiency as a process and as an organization.
Absolutely. That's what we keep hearing, right? So today's, talent is more of Gen Z and millennials, right? I mean, that's
Oh
where,
yeah.
their focus is more
Yes.
about, impact, that the impact they are creating, the learning, and again, that's where you would see people are like nowadays specifically, they are switching quite often. You would hardly see, today's, generation is like sticking to one company for 5 years. That would be like
And the
this
minute
challenge.
anyone says that I've been part of an organization for 5 years, it's like, really? Wow.
Absolutely right, yeah. But again, there's another flip to it, right? Which is more about AI is making so much life easier, and AI is also contributing to organizations' growth to an extent, because if you think from a leadership standpoint, they definitely want to get things done yesterday, always, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but AI has given that edge, keeping in mind that can run like anything, that can give you, like you just refer to, kind of a predictability that you are referring to, right? Helping people understand, making it more real time. In such cases, you have seen that AI is also, people also have a fear that AI may end up eating up their job, right? So, do you see such fear? People talk to you regarding this. How do you handle it?
Fear is inevitable. I think in our careers, especially for those like you, myself, we've been part of a generation where we saw automation coming up. That
Mm.
also created that brought in that wave of fear that what is going to happen to me, what is going to happen to my job. And
Mm.
now we have AI coming in.
Mm.
Fear, is natural, it is completely understandable, but it's very important to recognize that AI will always remain a tool to augment those human capabilities. It cannot replace them.
Mm,
Even if I look at a function like our talent management,
mm,
it can AI can help with repetitive tasks, but it frees up our bandwidth for a lot more strategic work. uh, Initiatives on coaching or mentoring, these are things that my HR team did not have time for before. But
mm.
now, thanks to AI, we do have that. And those are those factors that make so much of a difference. Is there a risk to employability? Yes and no. It is my firm belief, Maddie, that if we are able to bring value to a role, we will stick there, no matter what the organization. That's what, if I look at it from a business perspective, also, I will retain those individuals who bring value to the company.
Mm. Right.
It's all about finding how we can add to that.
Practically, as an example, right? I mean, being little practical, right? From an organization standpoint, you also have to, kind of make your organization always effective, right? And if you are a product company, as an example, they always, look for funding, right? And there's always a, hustle between like, keeping your cost low and increasing your margins high and, going towards profit constantly and, basically expanding your business. In such cases that, that kind of push may slowly and gradually would come, which means they'll always look out for an opportunity when they can, how they can, cut down on the cost, right? That's
Yes,
what keeps
yes,
going. So,
of course.
I'm not saying that conversation triggers in your organization, but that's the trend that we observe, right? I mean, slowly and gradually it has started popping up in larger organizations because they see, what, we can handle it, right? So in such cases, do you come across questions on these notes? I mean, has, one-on-one is quite often, right? And people may come and say, what, I am experiencing this. And maybe, in any case, let's take an example where you have tried to brought, a automation through AI as an example. People might have thought, what, oh, I was doing this job earlier. Now it has automated. So people may have that sense of fear. So have you come across such kind of conversations?
Yes, yes, many a times. The fear is real. Yeah, there
Mm,
is that fear. But the way uh, that we approach such discussions is to first understand what is the individual's core fear.
right,
Is the fear being really just being redundant, or is there some other underlying fear there? Because there can be,
right.
right? And also, what's important is to reassure them that, see, as an organization, very bluntly speaking, while all organizations need to make profit, yes. But they also need their people. Organizations are nothing without their people. If an organization has to let go of talent that they have trained over a space of time, it is never an easy decision. That decision is not made just like that. There's a lot of thought that goes into it.
Mm,
Yeah. The
right,
individuals are always given time. That, if this is an avenue where there is nothing, there is this other avenue which is coming up. Are you interested? Because,
mm,
like I said earlier, adding value is most important. In most cases, the individuals are very much happy to explore something new because our organization is full of a lot of youth, and youngsters are always well amped up to learn something new.
right.
In cases where it doesn't work out, then we have to part ways in a positive manner, Maddie. Because if the person is not adding value, in my mind, it is not being fair to them.
Mm, right.
At some point, they are not going to be happy. And that bitterness that will brew does more damage than good. At such a juncture, it's always better to part ways on a good note and help them, if possible, to get somewhere to get to an organization that's really going to help them out.
So that preparation has to begin the moment the organization realizes that, yeah, this may have an impact towards, releasing few people.
Yeah.
So you all would you recommend, like, while that kind of thought comes, HR also start thinking about how do we, so, one of the point that you mentioned, which is very good in terms of like, moving people in a direction wherein, it can add more values to your services, your products, your solutions. in a way that can further, offers benefits to your clients or customers, right? So that they
Yes.
feel, okay, it makes sense. So it is like a win-win situation. That is one, which is a very good thought. But apart from that, let's take an example. Yeah, that's where the thought is getting into, wherein how we can constantly, kind of manage our overall cost and constantly look for a profit. If it boils down to that, then how do you, what would be your suggestion in that case to HR, that how they should be handling it? Because then eventually a lot of heat comes at the bottom, right? Because people have never been informed. It is like a decision going last minute. They are not comfortable. They're not ready for it, right? And it definitely impacts, overall, their day-to-day life as well.
Well, Maddie, I think I'm fortunate enough in a way not to have come across such an instance where letting people go is a split second decision.
Hmm.
Yeah. In my opinion, if such a decision is made, it doesn't happen overnight. There are thoughts that go behind it. Every management team will first work on seeing where can we utilize this skill. That option is always given. Those discussions do happen. It's only and only when both parties are sure that nothing can work out
Okay.
that such a drastic decision can be made.
Great. So, again, on this note, on similar note, right, one of the interesting question that, personally, I also like to know from you, which is more about now when the AI is bringing to the, and it's like everywhere now, AI, right? Everywhere, even on your phone, you will find AI, right?
Absolutely.
Someone
Even
is
in
tracking your,
WhatsApp.
right? Someone is tracking your conversation or whatnot, helping you do this, do that, whatnot. Um, how do you see, the approach of leadership, being changed, uh, from what we have, kind of experienced earlier, right? Do you see a change in thought process? Do you change in approach, in execution, in strategies? Have you experienced this in the last 1, 2 years?
Yes, it's inevitable that there would be no change. Mindsets have changed now. For example, the analogy that I like to use here is that of Iron Man. I'm sure you've watched it.
Yes.
And you would also know about Jarvis,
Yes.
the AI assistant
AI assistant.
extraordinaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for us, we would like to adopt AI and imagine AI as our very own Jarvis. So it gives us that real-time data. It helps us with that analysis that will only help us make those decisions faster and in a smarter manner. But remember, even Tony Stark, he relies on his gut,
Hmm.
right? That goes without saying. So similarly, as leaders, we need to blend whatever the data-driven insights that AI brings to us, and we are very fortunate to have that. But we need to blend that along with our own intuition and understanding of our people. AI will not understand our crowd. It will not understand our organization and the culture. That's only something that we can do. So it's
Hmm.
not just about crunching numbers. It's about reading between the lines and making those decisions that really resonate with the human experience. And that's what we are focusing on at this point in time.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely right. I think emotion is something which will anyway detach between the technology and people, right?
Yes.
So in such case, what would be your advice to, all the HR leaders? Because, you have been experiencing, you are living, right, in such situations, have been interacting with a lot of people, right? Hearing their issues, concerns, what are their comforts, what they like to even achieve, or, what are their expectations in such cases? What would be your advice to HR to how they can effectively use AI? Definitely, eventually, organizations, or you can say, the market is trending in that directions, and it will continue to be in that directions only, right? So, what would be your advice to HR leaders?
First is stay curious and keep learning because you cannot resist this AI change. It cannot be registered. You have to accept it and stay curious and keep learning more. Another piece of advice would be to approach this AI integration with a very clear strategy. Yeah,
Right.
identify those areas where really AI can add value. Don't just add it for the heck of it. If a company is onboarding just maybe 12 or 15 people a year, it makes no sense to have like an on to automate your onboarding. It's going to be a waste of money, waste of all your resources, right? And remember that AI is just a tool. It is our job to bring in that human element, involve the team in this decision making, get their feedback as well. Don't just do it alone as a leader,
Mm.
and make sure that everyone is comfortable with this new tech,
Right.
right? We cannot lose sight of what makes HR really great. It's the people. That is always has to be underlined, bold, asterisk marked. However, let AI enhance our strategy, not overshadow it.
Very well said. Makes sense, right? I mean, again, while we keep saying HR, we sometimes forget to expand that HR called human resource, right?
Yes.
So human elements needs to be there, right? So on this note, I like to thank you, Zara, for sharing your views and your aspects on how things are evolving in the market and how HR can pursue it, right? So that it can, kind of balance it out between both, internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Right. So I thank you once again for this podcast and sharing your views.
Thank you so much, Maddie. It was a pleasure.